this threat to Canada's economic security. For many, many Canadians, it was a personal threat to them. And they felt that their government was not protecting them. And they were right. We weren't. It was a real danger. That totally understandable and reasonable feeling that my economic security is being undermined by these illegal blockades and occupation. My government isn't taking care of me. Maybe I have to take care of myself. And that would have been terrible had that happened. That's why we have a government.
Krista Freeland, today, as part of the Emergencies Act inquiry, she was the government person today. I think the Prime Minister will be speaking there tomorrow. Tom Mulcair, our feature brought to you by Guaranteed Industries. They are the folks, of course, take care of all your commercial, industrial, and residential needs. Give them a call, 514-342-3400. Remember, they are a Lennox Premier dealer. So, Tom, Krista Freeland up there for quite some time today, dealing with the economic issues. The frozen bank accounts, the money that, the trail that the government found. I'm curious for your reaction to what you heard today from her.
Well, I thought she was pitch perfect. She was supposed to be as boring as she just sounded in that clip. She's not very good in extemporaneous speaking. She is excellent if she's delivering lines that she's practiced and rehearsed, which is exactly what you just heard. When you've been in this game for a long time, you know when somebody is not going off script. She was sticking to her lines. These lines had all been written down. They'd been practiced with the government attorneys. You can be certain of that. And she just did perfectly. She set the table for Trudeau to arrive tomorrow. I don't think that anybody could scratch her. The only problem that the government really has had was with Lametti yesterday over his refusal. It's something that you know about because, Aaron, you've been told by him before, oh, no, this is all subject to solicitor-client privilege. I'm the lawyer for the government, so I can't tell you what's in the legal opinion I just told you I have, but I'll tell you I have a legal opinion, but I won't tell you what's in it. So he tried that one time too many with Judge Rouleau yesterday, got pushed back a little bit, but it is actually true that he is the lawyer for the government and he is bound by a certain number of rules. So I think that Freeland gave a much more plausible reason for bringing in the act. Trudeau will do very much the same as Freeland. He's very good with prepared lines. He's excellent, in fact, with prepared lines. He will do everything he can not to go off script. And, so far, the only person who's in there who tries to throw live grenades every now and again at other people is the guy representing the Freedom Convoy. But he got pushed out of the hall. He was, the other day by Mr. Justice Rouleau. So I don't think that they're going to lay a glove on Trudeau to stay with a boxing image.
I asked a question earlier this afternoon from people, and I know we've talked about this, and I'm not going to belabor the point, Tom, this idea of where do we go from here. And I know there will be a judge saying, here's what went right, here's what went wrong. And
exactly.
And we'll basically have a script for the next time, God forbid, but the next time this might happen as to how to handle these things better. But I will tell you, it has been entertaining to read some of the text messages that went back and forth between ministers and say, hey, they're just like us, including one from Ontario. I think she's the, I'm trying to remember now. I think she was the Solicitor General, right?
I know which one you mean. Yeah. She was the former Solicitor General. And she said, you're not my bleeping boss.
Yeah. I don't take edicts from you. To Marco Mendicino, Public Safety Minister, I don't take edicts from you. You're not my effing boss, and we're being nice, but she actually used the word. So
yes,
that's fun.
It is interesting. It shows the human side of these things, and it shows that they're being transparent and letting some of this stuff out. I don't think anybody looked badly in those text exchanges, but, when we would sit down with our senior spokespersons, we were just the official opposition, fair enough, but we would still sit down with our best people, and we'd say, look, we are going to be seeking to form a government. When you're sending stuff out, ask yourself how it would look if it wound up being published. And just keep that wisdom in, every time you send something out. If you're about to blow a head gasket, well, wait to see the person. Give yourself time to cool off. Don't hit send on that really, flaming email or text that you were planning to send out, because you might really regret it.
No, but Tom, there's no reason to worry, because that same Marco Mendicino message that he got, and I'm trying to remember now, and what he said was he wrote it off as colorful language often used during a stressful time.
Yeah, and you know what? It was one of the most true things said.
Yes,
at that
probably
inquiry,
true.
Because people are blowing off steam, and one of the other things that it disturbed me to hear that Lametti was actually worried for his personal safety, which allows us to remind everyone that it's high time that federal ministers have bodyguards and drivers the same way provincial ministers do, because that threat is real, especially in the world that we live in today. You said at the outset, heaven forbid, let's hope that there'll never be a reason to use the Emergency Powers Act again. And I couldn't agree with you more. Let's hope for that. But in the world that we live in, when you can rally thousands of people with the most bizarre, lunatic conspiracy theories, and they believe it, and they believe that they're doing something great. They're going out there. You remember in Peterborough this summer performing citizens' arrests for people who had perpetrated the crime of the COVID vaccine. So you can't know what to expect in this day and age when all it takes is a very small percentage of the population who believe things that are absolutely kooky.
By the way, did you see the story today, the Freedom Convoy 2.0 being planned now for Feb of 2023, a year later, that one-year anniversary, if you will?
Yeah, I'm not worried about it for 1 second because, First of all, they're going to be waiting for them. The French-Canadian expression, de pied ferme. Like, they're just going to be waiting for them, like, your mom waiting with a rolling pin. It's like, don't even think about it. No, you're not bringing that 18-wheeler in front of the Parliament buildings. And if you think you are, you're in for a surprise.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. All right, let's talk about something else, and that is this, first of all, I read a piece, I guess, today, fallout from those Trump Mar-a-Lago secret documents. I guess it was a former Canadian diplomat who weighed in on this as part of an interview that I saw today. Is there something in there? Were you concerned? I mean, when this happened, Tom, and they found all these documents that Donald Trump had actually taken with him back to Mar-a-Lago, there's some very sensitive information in here. What, Canada could be somehow involved in this?
Well, I missed that part, to be honest with you, but I do know that one of the things that they had was a personality analysis of the president of the French Republic. This is the type of thing that security agencies do. If your intelligence community is doing their job properly, they've got this sort of assessment of every single world leader that you're going to be dealing with.
Right.
There's obviously something in there that Donald Trump found fascinating for himself, and he just decided to pilfer a document that, of course, he had no right to take out of the White House and belonged in the National Archives, and wound up at Mar-a-Lago with all his buddies. He would have probably started taking them out at parties and reading them to people if all this bad stuff hadn't happened to him. So I didn't catch the bit about the Canadians, but I wouldn't be surprised if a little bit like the French president when there was stuff in there concerning Canada.
Imagine, or one on Justin Trudeau, or how to deal with him, whatever. Although it wouldn't have mattered to Donald Trump. Apparently, I'm still remembering the way he blew him off after that. Remember the meeting out in Quebec?
Yes, when they were where they were in Charlevoix. But that was interesting because, there was a bit of a similarity in Trump's behavior there, getting angry with Trudeau over something Trudeau said once he was gone, and President Xi of China the other day. Because what was Xi on about? He was upset about the fact that Trudeau had spilled the beans of their conversation to the media. And essentially saying, when I'm with you, that's one thing, but, if you're going to start spilling the beans on this stuff, you're breaking protocol. What happened in the Donald Trump case was he had Air Force One waiting for him at the airport. He got on Air Force One, and within a minute of him having gotten on his own airplane, he turned, of course, because he's a junkie for this stuff, he turns on his TV, and he sees Justin Trudeau in front of the cameras, wailing away at Donald Trump. And he just went right back out and talked to the media and said, what is it with this guy? He was all nice and friendly with me when I was standing beside him. The minute I leave, he starts, saying bad things about me. And for the very first time, I had to agree with Trump. I mean, Trudeau was sounding very brave. Once he thought that Trump was on Air Force One, the only thing he hadn't considered was Trump was actually going to be watching television and listening to every word he said.
I would have found out sooner or later, I guess. So, yeah, a little bit of protocol might have helped there. Last thing, the government apparently unveiling a new climate adaptation strategy. There's $1 billion commitment here, Tom.
Well, there's a commitment to have a commitment to have a commitment, because this is after 2 years of consultation, and no money is going to flow from what they just announced today, because they're only announcing another consultation about the results of the previous consultation. That's where we are now.
What?
But more seriously, adaptation is absolutely essential. The two main things you have to deal with climate change are lower your greenhouse gas emissions, so you can start slowing climate change and global warming. That's called mitigation. And adaptation is, there's already so much stuff in the pipeline, we better get ready for what's going to hit us. So that's increased flooding, increased forest fires. If you look at the Gulf of St. Lawrence right now, this has all been modeled. They knew the difference, in the tides and in the currents was going to mean that there would be, especially in the fall, really smashing high tides. Houses are just getting ripped into the Gulf of St. Lawrence, and you're going to have to move some of the main highways back a few kilometers. This is the type of stuff that this money is going to be earmarked for, and it's a really good idea.
So last thing before I let you go, the government press release today, the government of Canada is going to be making a housing announcement in Montreal tomorrow. Do you have any idea what this is about?
No, but they better have. I hope they've adjusted everything with the province, because this is a little bit like healthcare. The feds, of course, do have a role in lots of these social programs, but they've always got to tread very carefully. Now, if they're going to be there with the province, making an announcement with them, that's great. But they can't even make the announcement with Valerie Plante, because the feds are not allowed to give money to any any city in the province of Quebec. Every other big city in Canada can deal directly with the feds, but here in Quebec we have a specific law saying that the federal government's not allowed to deal with any municipality, even the city of Montreal.
Okay. Well, I'm looking at the press release, and it mentions Laurent Desbois, the mayor of Outremont, is going to be part of this announcement, as will the borough councillor for Outremont, and Daniel Jutras, who's the rector of the University of Montreal. So I'm guessing it probably has to do with the U of M.
Well, that would be great news, and if it is a housing thing to do with the University of Montreal, I'm all for it, because student housing is a huge problem both at McGill on the other side of the mountain and at U of M, and of course at Concordia.
All right, we shall find out tomorrow. Tom, thank you.
Okay, take good care.